Hi everyone, Barry here from Mitosu, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. Thank you for joining me today for another Funfold Friday video tutorial. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can make an impossible card. So it is this card right here, which actually isn't that impossible to make. It is really simple. So I'm going to be showing you step by step how to make this with measurements in inches and centimeters, which can be found down below in the description as well. You can obviously see here I am going to be using the Beauty of Friendship stamp set with the Coordinating Designer Series paper to make this card. But once you've got the measurements and the fold sorted, you can decorate it however you wish. It is so easy and versatile and a lovely fun fold. So if you like to see more videos like this, please remember to subscribe to our channel and make sure you turn on all notifications to be notified when we go live and post something new. And please remember to hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see. Okay, so let's crack on. Sit back, relax, whilst I show you how to make the impossible card. Enjoy. Okay, so we're gonna get you to cut your card stock and your designer series papers. So I'm going to be starting off with a card base. So I've got here, this is Night of Navy cardstock, which I'm using. So this is going to be 4 1/4 by 6 inches, okay, which is either 10.8 by 15.2 centimeters. We are going to need some designer series paper. You will need 2 pieces measuring 2 7/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch, or that is 7.3 by 10.5, and you will need 2 of those. You will need 2 more pieces of cardstock, so Night and Navy cardstock. So this is 1 1/4 by 3 1/2, or 3.2 by 8.9. You will need 2 of those. And you will need some designer series paper, again 2 of these ones here in the coordinator, in a contrasting or an opposite pattern, and these are going to be 1 1/8 of an inch by 3 3/8 of an inch, or that is 2.9 by 8.6, and you'll need 2 of those. And you will also then need 1 more piece of designer series paper. Now I'm going to show you how to cut this because I'm going to be using this paper right here, but it's only because I want to cut it a certain way. You will need a 2 inch by 3 3/8 of an inch of your chosen designer series paper, which is where we're going to pop a sentiment on. So I'm going to be taking it out of this X section right here, rather than something which is too busy. I quite like this paper, which is quite a nice gradient going up. So this is a really nice designer series paper, and I like this part here. It works quite nicely. So remember, that is 2 inches by 3 3/8 of an inch, but I'll cut that for you live on camera. Good, so the first thing we want to do is we want to take the card base. This is the 4 1/4 by 6 inch piece of cardstock. And what we're going to do is we are going to score this on the short edge. What I mean by short edge is this edge here along the top end of your trimmer. And we're going to score this at 2 1/8 of an inch, or 5.4. And what you don't actually need to score it all the way through from top to bottom like that if you don't want to, because we're basically only really interested in the middle part being scored. So if you don't want to see some extra score lines on the side here, just take your scorer into the middle and then just score it like that in the middle area. So just so we haven't got score lines, because we're only really interested in it, and then we're going to be covering this up with designer series paper, so it doesn't matter that that's in there, but it's just so it doesn't show it at the end here. Okay, so that was scored at 2 1/8 or 5.4 centimeters. Along the long edge, what we want to do is we want to then cut this at 1 1/4 inches, which is 3.2 centimeters, to the score line. So 1 1/4 inches, and we want to cut down the blade's just falling out. There we go. Take this to 1 1/4 inches, which is 3.2, and we're going to cut down to the score line. So I'm just going to come down. You can see where the score line is, and we're just going to come down and cut down to that. So if I can show you on camera, can you see I've come down and stopped at the score line right there. And on this trimmer, you can see just line these lines up here with the score line going across. And then you want to do exactly the same the opposite side, so we take it to 1 1/4 this side, which is 3.2, and come down to the score line. Like that. Okay, so you've got these parts. Don't fold this yet. Now what you want to do is you want to then cut on this side here, so on the opposite side at 3 inches, which is 7.6 centimeters. Basically it's halfway, so whatever you decide to make this, you want to cut this halfway up to the score line. Now you've ended up with something like this right here. Okay, good. So we're done with the trimmer for the time being. What we've got here is we have got these pieces. So these are going to go on like so. So just be aware that you've got these in line. So however you're going to do it. So just if you've got a pattern which flows, then just make sure you've got it the correct way around. It's not really going to matter too much on this one here because we're going to be taking chunks out here and here, so the pattern really isn't going to be meeting up too much. But I'll show you the cutting on this in a second. But just as long as you've got something, just be aware of your pattern. I always say that to you, be aware of your pattern. Before we move on to that one there, what I want to do is we just want to stick the designer series paper, which we've cut, so these smaller pieces here. So we want to stick the designer series paper from the 1 1/8 to 3 3/8 onto the cardstock right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So that's those 2 pieces there. So they're just going to now just get themselves nice and stuck and ready. These are going to be the supports to give the, or just give a little bit more support to the card once we've folded it. So just pop those to one side now. Good. So these ones right here, this is really, really simple. All you want to do basically is you want to flip. So we're gonna fold this center panel over first, and then we would just burnish this like that. And then all we want to do is turn that the opposite way. Just be careful because it's quite flimsy on the middle here. So we're just flipping and reversing, and that's it. That is all the fold is. It is really not that impossible. So, and this is why we need these supports later on, just to stabilize it. Okay, so let's just do that again. So that's how it was there. So I'm going to hold it here in my left hand. I folded this part over first, so I did that just to start to get it bent. Hold that like that, and then with the right one, just turn this back on itself, and then fold, and then just burnish that down again, and that's all it is. Okay, so good. So we're going to now decorate this. So we're going to need to take these 2 patterns right here. So we need to take out on these 2 here as they are together, like this. I want to take out this square, and I want to take out this square, which is this side and this side here. So I'm just going to pop a pencil line on those parts which I want to remove, just so it just prompts me to make sure that I do remove the correct pieces. Pop that to one side and bring in our trimmer. So you can either do a pencil line around this if you want to, or you can just go, I'm going to do and cut it. So what we want to do is we want to cut in at 1 1/8 inch. So I'm popping it in and I'm moving it to 1 1/8 inch here on the left hand side, which is 2.9 centimeters. And I'm going to cut down to 2 1/8 inch. So I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to come down. I can see 2 1/8 inch on my side ruler. The reason I'm working in inches because the side ruler is in inches. Now, obviously in the UK, you can buy an extended ruler which does have it in centimeters, but we've still got the inches one, which is why it's just easier for me now to work in inches on this one here. But 2 1/4 inch is going to be 5.4, okay? And then what we want to do is we then want to take it, sorry, 2 and 1/8, 5.4. Then I want to take it to 2 and 1/8 here, and then I want to then cut down to that score line, sorry, to that cut line, and then we can then remove that out like that. So that was a piece which I had my pencil lines on, so that is going to be the one which is going to go on this side over here. And now we want to be removing the bit with the pencil lines on, which is this side here. So the same thing, I am going to remove, so I need to do it, so I'm going to pop it in so it's up the top here, but remember it's going to get reversed. So 1 1/8 of an inch down to 2 1/8 of an inch. And then take it to 2 1/8 of an inch here, and then come to that cut line. And there we have it. And that's a bit which is going to go round that way. Like that and like that. Okay, so you can do something with these parts if you want to later on. You can obviously, if you put some pencil marks on there, you can just rock those out. So that there is going to go like that. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stick these designer series bits of paper to this card base. All the products you see me use today are available to purchase from us via our online shops. If you live in the UK, France, Germany, Netherlands and Austria, you can shop with us. Links to our online shop can be found down below in the description as well as other links you may find useful. Okay, so there we have it. So that's that part. So again, this is still quite flimsy, so we can now bring these supports in, which we had from earlier on. And then they are going to just get stuck like this and like this to just make it, well, strong again. Because at the moment it's only being held by a small bit in the middle. So I'm just going to make sure I pop a little bit of glue on both sides. Don't go across all of it, because obviously it's going to stick to the bottom. So a little bit of glue this side and a little bit of glue this side here. And then that can then go down like that. Just centralize it so I've got equal gap top and bottom and equal both sides. Just eyeball that. Just make sure that the card is straight, so you can use some lines. If you have some grid paper, you could do that. There we go. Just hold that in place whilst that sets up, and then do the same for the top one. There we go. I'm just going to put that to one side to let that dry, and I will then show you how I cut my designer series paper. So as I said, this part here, obviously you could either use this as a plain basic white if you wanted to. So if you're just going to do that, it just needs to be 2 inches by 3 3/8 of an inch, or 5 centimeters by 8.6 centimeters. But because I'm using designer series paper and I'm going to be using this part here, which has got a nice gradient with these trees, these inky trees here, I quite liked it because it was, I thought it was just nice and it was perfect. It wasn't so intrusive that you couldn't see a sentiment on here. I could still stamp over it. So you can see off of my prototype, I've already taken out a corner here. So just have a little think about stamping on your designer series paper. I think sometimes we forget that we can, and we just have to use it as a pattern, but we can actually stamp on it. So have a little look through your paper and see if there's things you can actually use, because you will probably use a lot more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this I'll take it out from, let's just remove this chunk right here. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here to 2 inches, and I'm going to cut down here to 3 3/8. So again, using my ruler on the side here, cut down to 3 3/8. I'll eyeball that and go in. And then take that to, and this is where this ruler comes in handy, because you've got the measurements at the bottom here. You can then come down to 3 3/8 of an inch down the bottom down there, and then I can then come up and then take out a chunk like that. Okay, so again, love this ruler, both sides, top and bottom, and it means that you can selectively take things out. Okay, so that is that one, and that there is a perfect fit for that center panel right there. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to do some preparations, and I'm going to stamp myself some trees. So I'm going to be using the Beauty of Friendship stamp set, and I'm going to be using this tree here, so these two, and I am going to be using Friendships Refresh the Soul, which I think is quite a nice little sentiment. So if you want to send that to a nice friend, you can do. Obviously don't send it to a friend you don't like. So there we go. I'm just going to grab myself some basic white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my tree. So there we go. So I've got myself a bit of scrap paper, and I am going to be using Old Olive. It's really simple. All we need is 1 ink, and we will do these. This is a two-step, but you don't necessarily always need to do it as a 2-step. I think they're quite nice on its own. So I'm just going to be inking down. So tap, tap, tap. Get that nice and inky. And then pop this. Let's do it this way. Get the best out of my paper. And then hold it 1, 2, 3. And then remove it. Okay, and there is the makings of my tree. We can do, let's see what this comes out like. We're going to then do the second one. This adds a little bit more detail on this. We will line this, I'm just going to bring it down a little bit lower so I can see it. Try and line this up as best as we can. Just adds some more detail onto it as well. Okay, so there's two ways that you can do it, and you can darken down your tree. You can pop some different colors in there if you want to, and that is what we're going to get. Okay, but if you don't like that, you can still do it as a solo one. So let's have another little look at it and what it's like on its own. And there we have it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out now. So this comes with its own die set. So you've got the Beautiful Trees dies, is what this coordinates with, and you get all of these nice large trees. You can take some, you can cut out the greenery here. You've got some nice rectangles for some sentiment, some birds, a smaller tree trunk here, and which looks just like that. So really, really nice set. So grab this as well. Remember, if you do grab them together, if you buy them together under one product number, it's a bundle, you will save yourself 10% on this. Okay, so just be sure to look at those, make sure that there isn't any dies which coordinate with your stamps, so that you can save yourself some money, which is always a bonus. So on that note, obviously we would love to be your preferred demonstrator. So if you do shop with us, please remember to use the current Stampin' reward code, which can be found on our website over at mitosocrafts.com. If you use that when you go to checkout, it just allows us to send you a little extra thank you the following month. Okay, so do make sure that you pop that in, because it allows us to get you some extra little rewards. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut this out now. So I'm using the mini cutting machine, so which is perfect for these smaller bits. It's a lightweight machine, so and it's a table size, so it's a perfect little thing just to have to cut these small bits out rather than getting your big machine out every single time. Obviously, if you want more of a heavy duty one, you will need to go with a larger machine, but this is perfect for smaller, less intricate dies. So there we have it. So there is my tree. This here is going to go on like this, but it's going to pop itself out too much along the top. So what I want to do is I want to just trim the bottom of the tree off. So just have a little look. So I want to take around about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom. So I'm just going to pop it in and then just take it down like that. And then that will then sit nicely on this side here, and will sit flat and won't interfere with the envelope up the top. So I'm just going to have a little look at where I want to pop this, because then it obviously will then dictate to where I'm going to then pop my die. So I'm going to do, I'm not sticking it down yet, because again, I've got an uneven surface. So I'm just eyeballing this at the moment, and then I can then pop some glue on the back here. Hold that in place where that's going to be. Pop that where I want that to be. Line it up and level it up along the bottom down here. And then just let that set itself up. We know then when that comes up, and that will then sit flat along the bottom. Okay, so that's good. Now I can now comfortably pop my sentiment in here. So I'm just going to use Memento ink. And then I can then position this nicely over the top of this right here. So friendships refresh the soul. Down we go. Hold it in for a second. 1, 2, 3. And then remove. And there we have it. And obviously the pattern on the paper doesn't interfere with the sentiment one bit. Once we're happy with that, we go ahead and we can then stick this to the back here. So just glue on the one piece here. And then centralize that. So everything's been cut and measured so you get a nice even border around the whole thing. So you can choose whatever side you want it to be, because it goes both sides, which now means you can then do exactly the same thing. So remember, that was the 2 inches by, what did I say it was? I'll get my measurements again here. 2 inches by 3 3/8 of an inch, or 5 by 8.6, and then you can then pop your sentiment on the back. Right there. There we have your not so impossible card. Folds flat, nice and easy for postage, so it's not going to cost a fortune to send this one here, but I think it still packs a punch. And that will then obviously then just stand up. Obviously just a bit of manipulation, stand up. So it's one of those cards which you want to have on a low table, so you can obviously appreciate the designer series paper around here. You wouldn't want this to be displayed on a high shelf, because it's just going to get lost. You're not going to see it. So something on a low coffee table would look nice, so the person can then see it, and then the sentiment then pops up quite nicely. I think we can do it a lot with this one here. There is so many ideas. Just use up your papers. You could do flowers, you could do Christmas trees, you could do all sorts, and because you've got lots of room which you can add different bits. Just be aware that you don't want to come up too high, because you don't want to obviously intrude. You want to make sure you get it into an envelope, or you just go with a bigger envelope if you're going to embellish it. But if you're just going to pop it in a standard one, then just be aware of that. But you could do all sorts. You could have things popping out here. You could have some embellishments sticking up on the top here. And I think you've got so many possibilities with an easy card which looks complicated. So there we have it. I hope you have enjoyed today's Funfold Friday. As I said earlier on, we would love to be your preferred demonstrators. So if you do decide to shop with us, please remember to use that current host code. Links can be found down below for everything in the description, as well as other links to our tutorial pages. Everything can be found down below as well. Remember to give us that thumbs up if you have enjoyed what you have seen, and remember to subscribe to our channel and hit that all notification button to receive updates of when we post something new or go live, which we do twice a week on a Wednesday and a Sunday, 7 PM UK time. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. Have a great day yourself, and I will see you again on a live on Sunday night at 7 PM, or again next Friday for another Funfold Friday series. Thank you very much for watching. See you again. Bye bye for now. Bye.